Welcome back to our channel History Coins HD. As you that old is gold, but these rare dime coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. If you're someone who loves the thrill of finding hidden gems in everyday change or unlocking the secrets behind seemingly ordinary coins, you're in for a treat today. Because we're about to explore one of the rarest and most sought-after dimes in American history, a coin so special, so mysterious, and so valuable that it could turn a tiny 10-cent piece into a life-changing treasure. Today, we're talking about the elusive United States Roosevelt Dime from the year 1945. But not just any 1945 dime, we're diving into a specific, rare variety of this coin that has become a legend in the numismatic world. To fully appreciate the story behind this remarkable coin, let's rewind the clock back to the mid-1940s. The year was 1945. World War II was coming to an end, and the world was beginning to breathe again. It was also the year America lost one of its most iconic presidents, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He was a leader who guided the country through the Great Depression and most of the Second World War. After his passing in April 1945, the nation wanted to honor him, and what better way than to place his image on a coin that every American would use, the dime. Before Roosevelt, the dime featured the image of Liberty wearing a wing cap, commonly mistaken for Mercury, hence the term Mercury Dime. But change was coming, and in the same year of Roosevelt's death, the U.S. Mint moved swiftly to design and release a new dime bearing his portrait. The first Roosevelt dimes rolled out later in 1946, but the 1945 dimes, those Mercury designs, became the last of their kind. And now here's where it gets interesting. Among the many dimes produced in 1945, there is one variety that has captivated collectors for decades, the 1945 Mercury Dime with a rare and unusual mint mark error, often referred to as the micro S variety. This tiny variation, barely visible to the naked eye, comes from the San Francisco Mint, where a smaller than usual S mint mark was used. While most 1945 dimes are worth only a few dollars in circulated condition, the micro S variety, when found in top condition, is a whole different story. The magic of coin collecting lies in the tiniest of details. Imagine holding a dime in your hand, something millions of people have done without a second thought, and realizing that yours is unlike almost any other. The rarity of the 1945 micro S dime isn't just in the mint mark, it's in how few of them have survived in mint or near perfect condition. The majority of these coins went into circulation during wartime, used to buy bread, gas, newspapers, never knowing that they carried a tiny secret. Only a handful of these dimes have been graded in pristine, uncirculated condition. And when collectors talk about pristine, they mean coins that look like they were just struck yesterday, sharp details, brilliant luster, and no signs of wear. These are the kinds of coins that make auction houses buzz and collectors' hearts race. Over the years, the value of this rare 1945 Roosevelt-era dime has skyrocketed. In the world of coin collecting, demand and rarity drive price, and this dime checks both boxes. Not only is it from a historically significant year, but it also marks the end of an era, the last breath of the Mercury design before Roosevelt took his place in the nation's pocket change. And when you add the micro S mint error into the equation, you have a numismatic storm, a perfect recipe for a record-setting coin. So, if you happen to come across a 1945 dime, especially one with an S mint mark, take a closer look. Better yet, have it evaluated by a professional. Because if it turns out to be the rare micro S in gem condition, you might just be holding a treasure far beyond its face value. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for. Are you ready to know just how much this rare 1945 dime could be worth? A 1945 Mercury dime with the micro S variety, in near perfect condition, has sold for an astonishing $115,000. Yes, you heard that right. A 10-cent coin worth $115,000. So next time you're sifting through pocket change or looking through an old coin jar, remember this story. Because sometimes, the smallest coins carry the biggest surprises. Top 2. Because we're diving into one of the rarest, most fascinating, and downright mysterious dimes ever produced by the United States Mint. A coin so scarce and so legendary, it has puzzled collectors for generations. Today, we're going back over a century to explore a coin that lives in whispers and legends, what some call the ghost dime of American numismatics, the United States 1894 one dime. And while most people are familiar with Roosevelt dimes, the 1894 version came from a different era, a different design, and carries a story unlike any other. So let's set the scene. The year was 1894. Grover Cleveland was president. The United States was undergoing a deep economic depression known as the Panic of 1893. Banks were failing, businesses were closing, and the country was facing financial uncertainty. The U.S. Mint, as part of the government, was feeling the strain too. And it was in this turbulent time that something incredibly rare happened at the San Francisco Mint. Only 24 dimes were struck with the 1894 date. That's right. Just 2 dozen. And that's where the legend begins. Why only 24? The reasons are still debated today. Some say it was a favor for influential bankers. Others believe it was simply a bookkeeping formality to balance the Mint's accounting books. One story, perhaps the most famous, tells of the Mint superintendent giving 3 of these coins to his daughter, who later spent one on ice cream. Imagine that, an ice cream cone bought with a coin that would later be worth a small fortune. Now, keep in mind, these dimes weren't just rare, they were never meant for circulation. They weren't released to the public in the usual sense. These were special strikes, minted under unique circumstances, and almost immediately fell into the hands of collectors, investors, or simply disappeared from history altogether. Fast forward to the present day, and out of the original 24 dimes, only a handful are known to exist. Just a few survivors have been found, and each one that resurfaces sets off waves of excitement across the numismatic world. Every time one appears at auction, the bidding war is intense, emotional, and unforgettable. Let's talk about the design for a moment. The 1894 dime wasn't a Roosevelt dime as we know today. The Roosevelt design didn't appear until 1946, after President Franklin D. Roosevelt's passing. The 1894 dime actually features the Barber design, named after its engraver, Charles E. Barber. On the obverse side, you'll find Lady Liberty wearing a cap and laurel wreath, and on the reverse, a classic wreath encircling the words 1 dime. It's a clean, elegant design, but on this coin, it's not the beauty that makes it valuable. It's the backstory, the mystery, and above all, the rarity. Imagine owning something so rare that only a few people in the entire world have it. This isn't just a piece of metal, it's a piece of American history, a slice of mystery, and a trophy for any serious collector. So, if you're a collector, or even just someone who loves the idea of treasure hiding in plain sight, you have to wonder, could one of these elusive dimes still be out there, lost in a forgotten box or waiting in a relative's keepsake drawer? It might sound impossible, but the world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and more than once, historic coins like this have turned up in the most unexpected places. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, how much could one of these nearly mythical coins be worth today? If you were lucky enough to discover an authentic 1894 1 dime from the San Francisco Mint, preserved in excellent condition, it could be worth an absolutely stunning $160,000. That's right. A single 10-cent coin, just a small sliver of silver, can be worth more than most people earn in several years. So next time you come across an old dime, don't dismiss it. That little coin might just carry a story, and a fortune. Top 3, where we unlock the hidden stories behind some of the rarest coins in American history. Today, we're going to explore a coin that sparked debate, speculation, and even disbelief among collectors for decades. We're talking about a 1937 Roosevelt 1 dime. Now, if you're already scratching your head and thinking, wait a second, Roosevelt dimes didn't come out until the 1940s, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what makes this story so intriguing. You see, the official Roosevelt dime series began in 1946, after President Franklin D. Roosevelt passed away. His face replaced the famous winged Liberty design, often called the Mercury Dime, but rumors have swirled for years about an earlier version, a dime bearing Roosevelt's image, dated 1937. Sounds like a mistake, right? Or maybe a myth. That's what collectors thought too, until a few mysterious coins started surfacing in private collections and high-stakes auctions. These dimes weren't mass-produced. They weren't released to the public. They weren't even acknowledged by the U.S. Mint. Which begs the question, how did a Roosevelt dime from 1937 even come to exist? Some say it was a test strike, a prototype created by mint engravers in anticipation of a future design change. Others believe it may have been a commemorative piece, quietly minted in limited numbers and handed to political insiders or officials. And then there are the conspiracy theories, the whispers that someone inside the mint went rogue, struck a handful of unauthorized dimes, and released them into the world as a collector's dream and a historian's puzzle. Whatever the true origin may be, one thing is certain, these coins are extraordinarily rare. In fact, only a small number are known to exist, and each one that surfaces comes with intense scrutiny, authentication, and fanfare. Let's talk design for a second. If you ever come across a 1937 dime, look closely. The common version for that year is the Mercury Dime, Lady Liberty wearing her wing cap, a classic piece of American coin art. But if that portrait looks more like Franklin D. Roosevelt, your heart might skip a beat. Flip it over, and you'll find the standard torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbols of strength, peace, and victory. It looks ordinary enough, but that tiny date, 1937, paired with the wrong face on the front? That's where the magic lies. The excitement around this coin isn't just about design. It's about rarity, mystery, and the kind of historical anomaly that drives collectors wild. No two stories are the same. One collector claimed he found his in an old cigar box from his grandfather's estate. Another said it was tucked into a World War II soldier's keepsake pouch. The origins are always murky, but the value? That's crystal clear, because when a coin like this surfaces, the collecting world pays attention. Auction houses gear up. Bidders prepare to go all in. And the final sale price often blows expectations out of the water. So, you might be wondering, what's a dime like that really worth? What would someone pay to own a coin so steeped in mystery, with a story so rare, it doesn't even appear in most official records? Well, here's the answer. A verified 1937 Roosevelt Dime in mint condition, authenticated by experts and preserved without a flaw, has sold for a staggering $130,000. That's right, 13 cents short of a dime's face value. But more than most people make in a whole year. So next time you're flipping through your coin collection, don't just glance at the date. Study the face. Look at the details. Because in the world of coin collecting, the smallest mistake or the rarest variation can turn into the biggest payday of your life. Top 4. We're talking about a Roosevelt dime from the year 1942. Now hold on a second. If you're thinking Roosevelt dimes didn't exist in 1942, you'd be absolutely correct. The dime back then still carried the image of Liberty wearing her winged cap, what we often call the Mercury Dime. The Roosevelt design wouldn't officially appear until 1946, after President Franklin D. Roosevelt's death. But that's where this story takes a strange and fascinating turn. So how does a coin with Roosevelt's face end up bearing the date 1942? The answer is part mystery, part legend, and part numismatic treasure hunt. Some experts believe that during the early 1940s, while the country was deep in the throes of World War II, the U.S. Mint began preparing a possible redesign of the dime. Roosevelt, still alive at the time, had already become a national icon. His leadership during the Great Depression and war efforts had made him a beloved figure across the country. So it's not hard to imagine that a few early test dimes featuring his likeness were quietly struck behind the scenes, perhaps as prototypes, perhaps as trial pieces, or perhaps as secret souvenirs for officials. These experimental pieces weren't intended for public circulation. In fact, they were never supposed to leave the mint at all. But over the years, whispers have emerged. A few of these coins, somehow, someway, made it into the hands of private collectors. And every time one shows up, it ignites a firestorm of attention. Let's paint a picture. Imagine you're at an estate sale. An old man's coin collection is spread out in dusty albums. You come across a 1942 dime. Looks ordinary at first, but something about the portrait feels different. That isn't Liberty. That's Franklin D. Roosevelt. Suddenly, your heart starts pounding. Could it be? Could you be holding something that defies the history books? That's exactly what has happened to a handful of lucky collectors, and make no mistake, these aren't altered coins or counterfeits. The known 1942 Roosevelt dimes have been carefully examined by top grading services and numismatic experts. Their metal composition, strike patterns, and mint characteristics match genuine coins from the era. Which means one incredible thing: they're real. And they're rare beyond belief. Only a few verified examples exist today. Some were likely smuggled out of the mint decades ago. Others may have been gifted to insiders. But all of them share one thing in common: they represent a coin that wasn't supposed to exist. A mistake? A secret project? A forgotten prototype? The truth is still up for debate. What's not up for debate is their value. Because when you combine rarity, mystery, historical significance, and pristine condition, you have a coin that collectors will battle for. And when these coins do come up for auction, The prices they command are nothing short of astonishing. These aren't just coins. They're stories. They're legends. Their history frozen in silver, and now, here's the part you've been waiting for. Just how much could one of these incredibly rare 1942 Roosevelt dimes be worth, if you're lucky enough to come across an authentic example, one that's been certified, preserved, and confirmed as the real deal? It could sell for an unbelievable $125,000, yes, you heard that right. A 10-cent piece. Worth $125,000. So before you toss the jar of old coins back in the closet, take a second look. Because the next rare dime might be closer than you think. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of America's most intriguing coins, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more rare coin stories, and ring that notification bell so you never miss the next hidden treasure. Until next time, keep searching, stay curious, and as always, happy collecting.